welcome to Happy US, the podcast where we explore a little thing called happiness, one awkward conversation at a time. And I am Erin Claire, who I'm your concert going, yoga doing, airplane traveling dean host. And today I am thrilled to be joined by Dr. Jeff Woods, who is Vice President for Member Engagement at the Council of Independent Colleges. His work at CIC focuses primarily on supporting college presidents and improving their efficacy. I love that word, efficacy. It's such a
Yeah,
good word.
we had to come up with something.
Previously, he was professor of history and an academic administrator at Arkansas Tech University. During his more than 20 years at Tech, 20 years, he
Uh,
served as head of the Department of History and Political Science, dean of the College of Arts and Humanities, and co-chair of the Arkansas Governor's School, which is still going strong.
yep, they're in right
Yep.
now. Yeah.
Yep. He is all the author of books and articles on the Cold War and the American South. Welcome to Happy US, Jeff. I am so happy to be able to chat with you today.
It's
Like,
so good to see you after, we haven't seen each other in a while. So
oh yeah,
we
yeah.
used to see each other too much, but
Yes, yes. So, full disclosure, Jeff Woods is the reason I'm a dean today. He's the first dean I worked
oh,
for. He hired me, created a position that then became an associate dean, and then I was like, I'll run with this, and here I am
I'm
in
sorry.
Boston. Yeah.
I apologize for all. Yeah.
It's a fun adventure though, and that's what he taught me. So if you like how I'm deaning, you can blame Jeff Woods. If you don't, you can blame Jeff Woods because I really patterned almost all of my dean behavior on
Oh
this man
no.
right here.
Yeah, well, I apologize to everybody that works for there and then.
It seems to be going all right. I'm not fired. So yay.
Yeah,
Thanks.
me too. Exactly.
You're
Yeah.
right. Yeah,
One
today.
day at a time. Key to
Yeah. So
happiness.
everybody on the podcast gets the same opener and closer question. And
All
if
right.
they're the easiest ones, what is your definition of happiness,
Oh,
Jeff
yeah.
Woods?
It's easy. Um, man, it's hard, but I kind of know more about when intuitively when I'm happy at a personal level. Um, and it's kind of these moments where worry falls away, and you're kind of connected to sort of the best version of yourself. Um,
I like it.
and that's interesting thing because it's like, who defines that best version of yourself? Is it completely you? Is it other people? It's probably some combination of those things. It's probably different things at different times. Um, I don't know. I think when I'm really at my happiest and when things sort of come together in terms of like my expectations of myself and other people's expectations of me and where I'm not worried about all that stuff. It's usually, I mean, uh, probably not surprising. It's usually in some kind of learning environment. Um, and it's, the kind of moments of awe and epiphany when you come across something really new. And it can be sort of, when you're doing research or something, but it can, it's best when it's with other people, it's collaborative and there's some kind of common cause to it. I don't think of happiness as a lonely thing, right? So I think it's got to be outside of that. Um, I think it involves kind of some sense of struggle, like it's in balance with things. That there's no tension to it. It doesn't seem like it doesn't seem to be going anywhere for me. So happiness is not sort of like release or contentment, really. For me, it is in part because I'm not worried, but it's not absent of um, kind of the struggle that's involved in sort of getting somewhere.
I like that. Can you describe some moments like that in your life?
Yeah, I mean, there's so many, like they honestly happen daily, which is good.
Yeah, that's good.
Um, but they also like the people always talk about the big impact kinds of things, and like you're happy when these sort of big events happen. So like when my daughter got into NYU, that was something that she really wanted, and she was really it was a struggle for her, and it wasn't sort of in the cards for her at first. And then the university showed up, and it's what she always wanted to do. And it wasn't just, it's not just college, and not just a good college, but it was getting out of where she was and going to a new place and going to some place that represented something, um, meaningful and exciting to her. Uh,
I know that story. That feels familiar.
yeah, yeah, yeah. We're we're at that age where our kids are starting to do those things. So,
Mhm.
um, things like the first time I woke up in the morning next to my wife, who wasn't my wife
Oh,
at the time, but that was like, you know, um, my son jumping on the bed, early in the morning, dressed completely as Zorro, was kind of awesome. It just like it's one of those moments that y- you knew it's just complete joy at the moment, and you remember it forever. Um, I used to, a lot of stuff with my kids because we used to get up in the morning and play music together, and those were always fun. But also, like, it was talking about learning and sort of academic environments and stuff. So you remember the big bone marrow drive that we did
yes.
on campus at ATU, and it was
I just interviewed Jason Warnick
yeah, yeah. So it
recently. So
was
yeah.
that, yeah, it was that all night kind of thing. And that was like, there was a moment there. I think it was like early in the morning. It was like, it was 5 o'clock or something. And, you know, uh, me and a few other people were the few people that were still awake and sort of moving around, and was watching the sun come up. And it was just one of those moments like, God, we did something really cool and good today. And so it's that kind of happy thing. And then, there's tons of classroom stuff, and there's a tons of, other kinds of family things. But yeah, so there's a bunch of them.
Yeah, yeah, and it should be that way. I think ideally, another person I was talking to was from Heidelberg University, a music professor, Matthew Kennedy, who was talking about how we should be wary of the mountaintop highs and just look for like, you know, hill highs because those are the daily sort of, things feel really good or I'm laughing really hard or something just beautiful that I'm seeing. And that is has such value. The same,
Yeah.
the mountaintops sometimes are exhausting. Those,
Yeah, yeah,
yes.
yeah, yeah. Well, and like as a writer, I always have that problem. If I finish something, particularly if I finish a book, I don't, it's not a celebration thing for me. Um,
Mhm.
and there's probably, you know, all kinds of deep psychological stuff that goes along with that. But
Yeah.
it's also like I think it is that the happiness wasn't in the completion of the thing. It's not seeing it in print. It's not the publishing. It's the process, and then what people do with it. And I think there's a deeper happiness in that. It's not the sort of apex of the thing.
Mhm. It's really in some ways that daily grind to get in there is the happiness. Like you have
Yeah,
a goal and you have to get to that goal, you have to overcome like all sorts of personal gunk and to
yeah.
get to do the thing.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. And I think the older I get, the more I think of happiness in terms of uh, spans rather than moments. You
Hmm.
know, the moments are easy to remember, but I think the happiness kind of a state, right?
Yeah.
It's a span of time or a process or something. And it's so I as it developed both as an intellectual interest and as kind of a just personal reflection. I think of it a bit differently than I did before. That it's kind of without closure.
Hmm.
I think in some ways closure can be kind of an enemy of happiness, which is
Hmm.
an interesting way to think about it. But yeah,
Yeah, yeah, and especially like as far as spans of time, there are times when I was very content content and there was happiness, but there's always sort of, at least for me, some type of struggle that goes with that.
Yeah.
So there's other times like now where I'm working my tail off, right?
Yeah.
And that doesn't, there's not this sense of like contentment at the same, right? But
Right.
that doesn't mean I'm not happy. So I think it changes based on circumstances, the pressures that are outside
Yeah.
life.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, because like sometimes the best work that you're doing, I mean, if you get back to the efficacy term, like those are also sometimes your most stressful times, and those things kind of um, go together, and uh, I see that, I work with presidents, university and college presidents all the time now,
Oh, they're
and
not stressed.
no, nothing to deal with. Yeah.
I,
It's so similar to what, that being an academic administrator, you get very close to sort of seeing what that's like. I think they've got some added things being in the spotlight more and the public pressure, which sort of adds to it. But you definitely get a glimpse of it. But it's, you know, their job is worthwhile. It has meaning when things are kind of tough, and they're the kind of people that sort of lean in to that. And they kind of find a happiness there amidst all of that. And it's like, part of the reason that I don't think I could do what they do is that they 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 can remain sort of happy and optimistic in that environment. Um, and that kind of stuff I think wears on me over time. So I don't know, maybe part of happiness is also realizing kind of who you are and what uh, what you want out of life. I think meaning and purpose is really directly tied to it. And I think
and
people,
the parameters of what you can and cannot do, which only
yeah,
that comes with age and just trying things out and being like, "Ooh, not for me," or "I
yeah,
can,
yeah,
but I
yeah,
don't want to."
yeah. And people are built differently, and they also have different hopes and aspirations and things like that. And so, I think for me, uh, it's got to be tied to something that I want that's based on, some genuine self-reflection and, a genuine honesty with myself. So,
Well, can you talk a little bit about your work that you do with presidents? What is it?
yeah, so I have basically a few different jobs in my current job, and the Council of Independent Colleges, um, a lot of it's based on kind of helping college and university leaders get the resources that they need to do the work that they do. We also gather some data. We get out there in public and sort of tout independent colleges and universities and that sort of thing. But a lot of my area is leadership related, and it's related to presidents. And so we put on a big Presidents Institute every year. It's one of the world's biggest gatherings of college and university presidents in the world. So I help with that, help with the programming for all of that kind of thing. And then we have programming throughout the year. But related to sort of the happiness discussion, one of the things that we do, CIC has a big tradition in kind of vocational discernment. And so a lot of our programs, we have a big grant with Lilly that does discernment for undergraduates.
Mhm.
And it helps with people on campus, administrators, chaplains, faculty, other kinds of people who work with students on thinking about their education tied to not just their jobs, but what they want to do in life.
Mm.
And these sort of discernment things about where are you going? Why are you here? What do you want to do? What does it all mean kind of stuff. And that has gotten kind of incorporated into so many programs that we do. And so, like, we have programs for presidents that are discerning whether they want to be presidents. And so it's like this vocation and mission kind of program. Where do you want to be a president and kind of what kind of presidency do you want? That sort of things. But then most recently, I've been involved in this thing called the Renewal Project, which is it's about uh, presidents that have been in their jobs for a while and are thinking about, okay, do I want another contract? Do I want to move on to another school? Is it time for me to move on to another school? Um, is it time for me to, do something else? Uh, but a lot of it is this kind of discernment thing. And you go back to kind of, all right, what their health and their resilience and their ability to do their job is based on sort of meaning and purpose. And I think that's related to happiness. And so we talk a lot about that. And, I've gotten to work with sort of the science of happiness a little bit and um, start to go to conferences and other kinds of things where these are big parts of the discussion. You would love all of these things. I'm sure you go to some of them too.
No, all I'm doing is deaning in the deaning, and then I'm not deaning. I'm in airplanes.
I got you. Right. Well, you would really enjoy, I think, this parts of it. It's
Well,
like,
I'm gonna need more info about those because yes, I need happiness conferences in my life.
yeah,
That aren't just like dancing right at night with a glass of wine. More than
yeah,
that.
right, right, yeah. And it's cool because it gets beyond like some of it's personal. Like
Mhm.
I think sort of personal renewal and resilience and happiness is part of it, but it's so connected to our jobs and our work as sort of servants to other people
Mhm.
and to other ideas. And so I think it's kind of interesting. It's got so many similarities to, the Joy Project that we
There it is. We gotta bring it up. We gotta talk about it.
yeah,
Yeah.
that we kind of put together in Arkansas. And our focus, like we really focused on building community
Yeah.
and helping teachers and scholars sort of rediscover their purpose and that sense of awe and wonder that the learning process is. And it's amazing how much of that continues to resonate with sort of my current work with presidents.
Same. Same here.
Yeah. Yeah. A lot of it's just sort of reminding people that that's what they're here for. And maybe it's something that, it's essential to being human. And if like it's essential to like if there's if there is a kind of pursuit of happiness that human beings are kind of meant to follow, um, it has to do with their learning and their discovery and their sense of something new and sort of making the world a better place,
Yeah, and
individually.
it comes like a lot of the fog of stress and just the grind sort of clouds everything. And yoga would talk about your dharma. What is your purpose? And you have to return to
Yeah.
that dharma, that or mission sometimes, and institutions will talk about that, like even your personal mission. Why are you doing what you're doing? And you sort of like clear out the cobwebs and remember, why am I doing what I'm doing? And get rid of the things that I can control that get in the way of that, right?
I I I saw a guy speak this year at so Wake Forest has this educating character conference that they do. Um, and it really is about sort of leadership and kind of character that's built into like leadership programs in higher ed. But there was a guy named Stephen Walker from the University of Chicago who was talking about Taoist concepts of sort of leadership.
Hmm.
And it's kind of in the concept of Tay. And and he was talking about how it's not really about dictating to people sort of the right things to do. It's not really kind of their concept is not that it's a force of will. It's more like channeling or being open to people's needs kind of downstream.
Yeah, yeah.
And I think that's it. So it's more received than given in a way. Um, and there's something interesting in that because like it gets to there's a sense of transcendence that is involved with, my personal happiness is tied to others, and we're on a kind of path together, and we can help sort of um, channel those paths towards kind of positive things.
Yeah.
And it's there's some great relief in that. I think because I think happiness as a force of will is sort of for me anxiety producing, right? And you can
Yeah, that's
sort of
not going to work out.
cyclical.
What is that? There's
Yeah,
that one country, Bhutan, where they have the gross
yeah,
national happiness
yeah,
index. Yes. And it doesn't work out too well because when you force the happiness, you take away the happiness part, right? Then
yeah,
it's controlled.
yeah, yeah, yeah. So it's interesting, and it's like there's uh happiness is kind of in tension, I guess, with all kinds of other things. I've been really interested in, just because of the work that I do with presidents and stuff, this the ideas of like educating character and like leadership and competency and like happiness. There's so many things that cross over. So like the educating character conference at Wake Forest that I was talking about, if you I kind of took some things from the conference that seemed to be sort of universal things that people are talking about and sort of educating character. And it's like, it's courage and empathy and honesty and temperance and justice and humanity and resilience, intellectual humility.
Yeah,
And
that's a big
I think
one.
that's tied to competence,
Yeah.
but also like civility and community and collaboration, focus on the common good. And that list of things, like if you compare that to, so I've got people from the Greater Good Science Center at Cal Berkeley coming to talk at a conference this year.
Oh, fun.
And yeah, and they do the kind of science of happiness stuff.
Hmm.
And I've been looking at a lot of the stuff that they're doing as well as sort of, the science of happiness. There's great resources at Harvard and Yale and all kinds of places. But
Yeah, I teach one at the Harvard Institute. This is what it's like to live in Boston. One of my yoga students works at the Happiness Institute at
yeah,
Harvard.
there
And
you go.
and so we have lots of really cool conversations. They have a cool project. So that's what I'm most familiar with.
Yeah, it's very cool. And but like their list of things is so similar
Hmm.
to the kind of leadership and educating character stuff. I mean, because it's gratitude and forgiveness and empathy and compassion and kindness and sort of pro-social behaviors, connection, mindfulness, resilience, optimism,
Yeah.
but also like awe
Hmm.
and
Yeah.
purpose and meaning and that kind of stuff. And you know, I also work with people that some researchers that did a kind of presidential competencies study last year.
Mm.
And it got presidents to sort of talk about what they think are their most important competencies. And there are these things that are tied to happiness and character and that kind of stuff. So it's like trustworthiness and resilience and uh, collaboration and emotional intelligence and courage and so it's amazing how much all of this stuff kind of ties together. Um, and so I think happiness for leaders may be a particular kind of thing, but I think it's also enhancement of what people experience kind of day to day.
I always would tell my students at Tech when I was teaching that the minute they are in college, they are now training to be a leader. That's the reason to get that bachelor's degree. It's not skill set. You're training to be a leader in this particular field with this set of skills.
Yeah,
And to me, as an academic, or as anybody who has bosses, right? You look around and you're like, this one, why do I like that one better than this one? Why do I like this one? And for me, the ones that always seemed to be the most successful were the ones who empowered other people. Like they
yeah,
didn't control, they
yeah,
didn't, dictate. We all through a shared vision that was very clear. right, of where we're going, they said, okay, you're really good at this. I want you to go create this other big thing that doesn't exist and empower people with the skills they already have. When I saw leaders do that, like you did that quite a bit, and
Yeah,
so did Wayne Powell, many other people that I've seen do that. President
yeah,
Dayoum does that at Northeastern. And
yeah,
one of the things that works out for everybody, because then the person that you're leading, they are doing something fulfilling. You're getting big things done with these big, huge mission-driven projects. That seems to be, at least for me, how we can take together happiness, right?
yeah,
And spread it is by empowering people to do what they're good at, not ask them to do things that they hate.
yeah, yeah. And there's a multiplier effect. Like, helping people do things that they want to do with their lives and that they're good at. I mean, as educators, that's sort of the basic premise of the whole
Right?
thing. But it's also like it's kind of everything in life, and anytime you get to help somebody sort of on their path, even if like you never want to claim too much or any credit for it, but uh, just being a part of it and being that's making life better for yourself and for other people. And that's, if we talk about happiness as kind of a span, as a project, as a process over time, that's a process that I trust pretty deeply. You
Well,
know,
and if you think about what leadership is, it's really just a form of holding power. You hold power, and what do you do with that power? And when you can help someone else down that path with that power, to me, you're really being leader. Because
yeah,
leadership isn't about what I create or you create or anybody creates and then can, put under a checklist. It's how many people did you empower through those creations? Who did you help? Because that's really going to be something lasting, right?
yeah, yeah,
And
yeah,
that's
yeah,
really how I see it. Like I can create a list of stuff, but it's the other people who did it because I empowered them and gave them some of what I had.
yeah. And it's like, and you don't have to lead a big organization to do this. I mean, it's like, helping your family get to where they want to go, helping your children get to where they want to go, helping your parents, you know, get to where they want to be. Those kinds of things are, I think deeply fulfilling and give people sort of meaning and purpose just kind of in day-to-day life.
Mhm.
So yeah, it doesn't need to be, it's like we were talking about earlier, it doesn't need to be the big dramatic thing. I think happiness comes in sort of, these sort of smaller day-to-day processes.
It's fascinating that your job is to help presidents be happy so that they can make other people happy or at least learn about themselves, which is right.
Yeah, well, and it's what we're, if I had to break it down another way, like I'm worried about their happiness as a path to longevity and resilience in the job. Like,
Mhm.
so part of the reason that we created that renewal program is that, the average college president in the early 2000s was staying in their job, like an average of like 7 years.
Mhm.
Um, the last study that was done about 5 or 6 years ago showed that that's down to about 5.9 years.
I was gonna say it's five seems to be right where it is right now. Yep.
And I think it's closer to 5 now. And so that turnover is, I mean, it's okay, it's reality, but it's not always good.
No, it's
Like,
disruptive.
yeah, an institution, particularly, if you're thinking about the lifespan of like a strategic plan or the ability to actually, accomplish some of the things that you were hired for. A lot of those you can't get done in a 5 year period, and
No.
it the and so it's and I know there's a balance. People stay too long too, and we talk about that as well, right? You can definitely hold that power for too long, but their resilience to be able to get through and to be able to sort of withstand things and positively contribute to the health of their institution, they need to be happy. They need to maintain their optimism. I mean, stressed out people make horrible decisions.
Yes, they do. I've seen it.
Yeah, well, and I've experienced, I'm sure I've done it. And it's so that's kind of like it's not just happiness for happiness sake. It's also that it translates into um, better, more productive working environments and better institutions and better, honestly, better learning environments, which I hate for that to be sort of the end of everything, but in my in my upbringing and career and worldview, that's kind of, that tends to be the end goal for me.
I would, I know that you likely think about an issue that I have to think about nonstop, which is the future of higher education, because
Yeah.
it's so changing rapidly. And, in my position, I'm the experimental branch of experimental institution. So I have to invent it on the
Hmm.
daily, right? What does it look like? What's the
Yeah.
shape of it? Um, and there's so many unknowns to
Yeah.
this.
Yeah.
What are your thoughts about that? Because higher education shapes happiness without a doubt for all of us.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, so many thoughts. I like
Right?
one.
I know. I'm
Yeah.
glad nobody asked me that. I'd just be like, oh crap.
I know.
Where am I going to go with this? This could go anywhere.
Too much to do. So one, like a basic place to start, though, is, you hear, I go to this ed tech conference every year, ASU GSB conference out in San Diego every year. And it's a bunch of people that are, in these education startups, and they're disrupting the industry, and they're providing all of these alternatives to traditional higher education, which is all, super interesting.
Oh yeah, fascinating stuff.
Yeah, in the last 2 years, it's all been focused on, artificial intelligence and
Mhm.
um, how that could change education. And you can imagine a world where like you've got an agentic AI that is your personal artificial intelligence that has multiple PhDs in multiple fields and is educating you from your childhood to your adulthood and beyond,
Yep.
right?
Yep.
And so you have this sort of, you know, you are essentially augmented by this artificial being that's with you and teaches you and things like that. Um,
This is some matrix level shit right here. This is woo,
yeah, which, that's
crazy.
that's possible and doable, and it's interesting what to think about what that does to society and what that does to sort of um, power in terms of knowledge and analytical ability and things like that. The
Mhm.
trouble I have with all of that, like philosophically, I don't think people are happy in terms of like their personal fulfillment if all of their memory and all of their processing power is given to something else.
Yep.
And so,
That's number one. Like that is, I just felt anxiety with it because anxiety is based, right, on things outside your control that you want to control. If you have nothing anymore in your control in that scenario, nothing.
yeah, and I mean, if you take this sort of Cartesian view of it, that thinking is being, then like that means you have to process. That means you have to like take things in, put it in your head, roll it around in your own way, and develop your own sort of creative connections for that. I mean, and like if human beings are anything, we are these sort of biological pattern makers, right? Our brains are kind of just that. And to feed those and for human beings, and I'm a humanist, and so like at the end of the day, I want what's good for human beings. I don't care what's good for AI.
Same.
And so education, like, and I think particularly higher education, even if we've gotten to this place where higher education is so focused on sort of careers and things like that. You can imagine a world where, okay, yeah, careers and things are still important, but if you've got computers and other kinds of processes that are able to do a bunch of those things, then what is higher education for? Well, I think it continues to be about um, finding out what it is to be human and what makes people happy and what makes them, have the wonder and awe that makes being a human being sort of worth it. And so I imagine that's the future of education for me. Uh,
Yeah, yeah. And it's fun. We are like so in sync. The thing that I said the same conversation, I'm like, okay, if I'm inventing this for the future, what is it that only humans can do? Because that's what's going to matter. Everything else, every other skill, if it can be replaced by a robot, it will be. So right now I'm launching a human-centric AI degree on what can the humans do. And it's funny
yeah,
that we're
yeah,
going back all the way to humanities, but basically we knew it would be here. Here we are, but we got to package it. It's human-centric AI. What is the space that AI cannot do, cannot replicate? Because we know that it has to do with human being interactions, right? And there's without AI can only invent what it knows, right?
yeah,
And
yeah,
so the human brain is where the invention lives, and that comes out of being together with other people. When we have those things, we will have happiness. And so I'm trying to carve out then, through a very interdisciplinary degree, what does that look like? Because
mhm,
it's going to be invented daily as we have to reinforce where are all of our issues coming when we come up against AI. And it's that human behavior. So yeah, we're right in the same space, right?
yeah, yeah. And it's great because some of the writing and stuff that I've been doing is recently is sort of kind of based in that stuff. And what is it that humans do and do uniquely, and not just, maybe there's a time where a computer you can organize it in a way that it sort of processes patterns and has a sense of awe and transcendence and creativity that human beings do. I don't really care about that. I don't want to be too species centric, but like I care about human beings and sort of what they've been given and where they want to go.
Mhm.
And so I think there will always be education will always be a necessary part of that because education is what it means to be a person. So I don't, I know it will change. I know it can look radically different, and I'm all about, like, I love experimentation. I love, I play with AI every day.
Yeah, no, it's so cool.
It's amazing, but um, it's not everything. All I want from it is to help me be a better human being.
Yeah,
And as long as it's a tool for that and not the other way around, yeah, let's see what happens. I'm cool.
100%. Yeah, and that was an excellent answer because it's like, well, it could be everything, but we just got to be humans. Which my version of that was, oh my God, we got to see being humans. Right? We can also do it that way, but yours is much calmer.
I think, yeah, mine started with that angst.
Yeah, oh my God, what am I gonna do? Got to invent a degree. What am I gonna do? Gotta save it. Right? It's not on me to save. It's on all of us.
Yeah.
So.
Hey, this is a happiness podcast, so I'm trying not to go on the anxiety route. Because I
Well, this
mean,
is truth, though. This is
yeah,
truth happiness because that's what it's like. It's a struggle.
well, and I mean, we talked about this before, like, uh, Aaron's got me doing yoga nidra on the
I
floor of the
do. I made
office,
him. You're a good sport.
yeah, but it's like there is, when you care about what you do, there's anxiety to that. And I think there are also, different people are wired differently. I'm less wired for uh, depression than I am for anxiety,
Hmm.
right? I'm more obsessive compulsive than I am fatalistic,
Hmm. Hmm.
right? And so I worry like a lot. And I'm anxious all the time. Uh, but I'm trying to learn how um, to not let that be an end, to sort of embrace it and understand the good in it, but also like where it's sort of spiraling out of control.
Yeah, and not helping. Like what, yeah. What's the level where it's harmful and the level where it's helpful? And right? Basic mental
Yeah,
health.
yeah. And it's like that you would think that, you know, a person in their 50s would sort of understand how to manage all that.
No.
And I'm like, I'm just at the beginning of,
Yeah, just getting started right now. Just now.
yeah,
That's how long it takes. And it's
yeah,
not like this is a project you started yesterday. We're always trying to figure out how to be happy. And it just until you're 50, you're like, I'm almost starting to understand. Almost. Almost.
almost. And yeah. And then you'll be faced with another big change in your life that will sort of re-scramble the whole thing and make you
Yep.
sort of rethink it. And,
100%.
but that's, you know, I don't know. There's um, again, the idea that closure can be an enemy to happiness, I think that's part of it. People think that there is this kind of end or that you get to this point in life where everything comes together.
God
And,
love it.
you know, I always hoped that for like my parents as they got older, and that it doesn't happen. Like you don't just become this sort of sage, old, wise person someday.
Blissed out all day. No.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I love the idea of that.
But that
But
only happens if you're on drugs all day.
well, right. Or if you've completely disconnected.
Hmm.
And it's like, is that really what you want out of your life? And you know, for most people, they don't. And like, it's interesting as my parents get older because it's like um, they're extreme sort of examples of that idea that you can't stop. My dad's 80, he's still working and he's still teaching and he's like, and he's not about to end that. And he doesn't see himself, I think, living without that kind of work and connection and continuing to sort of do something for the common good. Like he's not going to be, you know, blissful old sage sitting on a mountain contemplating his own
Come to
existence.
me and learn, people,
Yeah,
right?
no, he's a person of the world, right? And so like he's in the Platonic scheme of things, you know,
Mhm.
he's in this place where it's about, you know, what's happening while you're living, and the other stuff will work itself out.
I like though, what's interesting is as I get older, and I think as I watch older people get older, it's not that they become that sage blissed out. They just have so many more coping mechanisms that are healthy because they tried so many on for size.
Yeah.
They're like, this one sucks, that they can let things go, some things more easily.
Yeah, and perspective and history, and and I think also recognizing when like your anxious moments are taking you over, and they're out of perspective, they're out of context,
Hmm.
and you know, having experience and going through different things in life, and you know, all the ups and downs of death and things like that, and you know, getting older and actually feeling older rather than sort of being older as an abstraction. There is some benefit to that. It's like you can, there's more to draw from. Hopefully, there's more wisdom from that. Of course, you also, you know, you forget all the good stuff too. So,
Really, like I forget so much. I forget why I walk in a room. I forget all sorts of things. I have to have people be like, you need to tell me this later because I will forget. I
oh yeah, no, I take more notes now than I ever did because I was,
ever, because it'll be gone. All of it. Because I'm like, I can let it all go. Oh, I let too much go.
yeah. I love the idea though that like you know, that human beings can continue to learn through their lifetime,
Hmm.
and that you know we still like been thinking a lot about free will lately, and so like, and there, you know, increasing number of people, and it's this sort of fatalist nihilist philosophy that we are, you know, we are determined, like we don't actually have free will. Um, in an enlightenment-based society, that's a death knell. That's
Yeah.
chaos. That's, and I don't actually believe it because people can sort of, at a fundamental level, people do have an influence on things that go on around them and on other people and on themselves. And so, the neuroscience that has to do with happiness, I think, is fascinating for that because,
Yes.
it's like if you can, if your brain has these sort of neural pathways that can be reoriented, um, to make you more optimistic and positive, and like the idea of neuroplasticity and
Hmm.
that your brain can continue to change and you can do behavioral things that make you, um, sort of more resilient and
Yeah.
like that's that's pretty amazing and
It's so cool. And
yeah,
when you experience the problem is it takes work, right? And you have to be intentional. But if you do it,
additional
like I've experienced it, having to go through the process of getting over my fear of flying and had to experience like I am actually rewiring my brain and it freaking works. It
works.
works.
Yeah, no,
Yeah.
I know. That was
So
like,
cool.
yeah, I've loved your flying journey. It's one of my favorite things in life.
Especially now, I fly into LaGuardia all the time, which that's not the place to fly after all of those air traffic controllers. Right.
No, no.
It's
Well, I fly
awful.
in and out of DC, man. It's
Yeah,
like,
that's not any better. That's number two. Right. And now I'm just like, meh, what do you do? Right?
well, yeah, you just kind of give it up, right?
Yeah.
You just kind of trust
Too
it.
much
But
work to be anxious.
yeah, it is. And I also, there's this great book that I recently read, by Leor Zmigrad. It's a she is a very young, it looks like, researcher who wrote a book called The Ideological Brain.
No, I don't know it.
And yeah, it's interesting because it's about neuroplasticity. Uh, but she ties it to like, ideology, people's sense of individual identity and then sort of ideology, political and otherwise.
Cool.
And she talks
Interesting.
about like people that are more geared, like that work on their neuroplasticity, right? Um, and avoid like that's they avoid sort of rigidity or like, the kind of conspiratorial grind and dogmatism and all of that kind of stuff. Um, that neuroplasticity is tied to things like an avoidance of authoritarianism, and it's
Mhm.
tied to this sense of free will and how that connects to other people. So it brings, what I love about it is that kind of it's one of these books that brought together like my study as a historian and thinking about sort of ideology and political identity in the Cold War
Mhm.
and in American history in general, and tying that to things like the happiness studies and the leadership studies and those kinds of things. And it's this great book kind of at the nexus of a lot of that stuff. I recently read it. It's very interesting. So
I bet we could add another layer on that because neuroplasticity, that work of being able to reflect and think and form those, like, that is different than what we often see in these moments, which is fear, right? Fear locks up, so there's no neuroplasticity happening. And
yeah.
so the more you add fear into a community, a group, the less neuroplasticity they will do. I just invented that, man. Trademark. That sounds really good.
I know. I know. I kept thinking like, they got to have a better name than like the science of happiness. it needs to be like joyography or something like
Oh, I know, right?
that.
We should ask AI.
I know. I'm sure AI will come up with something. That's the thing about
Well,
AI. Like AI's it like it'll give you what you want, whether you want it or not.
exactly. It's like now that's what I want. Also, I'm tired. Thank you for that response.
Yeah, or that response sucked, but keep them coming.
Yeah. Well, we're already coming to the end of this hour, which means I need to have you back because there's so many other things that we can talk about that we didn't. We can talk about martial arts. We could talk about, there's so much
Oh,
stuff.
so much stuff
Yeah.
to talk about. I know. We didn't even get into like
We didn't get into like a one
physical
third of
stuff.
it. But
Yeah,
we
yeah.
solved higher ed. So
Yeah, yeah. We didn't
it's
get to, yeah, we didn't talk about music. We didn't, man,
no,
there's so
no,
many.
but that's the ending question. The
Okay.
other, which we've already been through this before on a road trip for a joy
I
project.
know. Yeah,
But
rap snacks.
wrap snacks. Okay, what is one of your favorite songs?
Okay.
This
So,
goes on a playlist. So,
okay. So I thought about this and like, we have, Aaron and I have a bunch of music that crosses over and
yes.
so, and we also have like, I think there's a lot of music that sort of brings us joy and happiness. But I wanted to bring up one, not because it's like necessarily one of my favorite songs, but because of what it does to people.
Mm.
Um, so my song is Bohemian Rhapsody by Queen.
Yeah,
Yeah, and the
yeah.
reason for that is like I've seen this piece of music do remarkable things. So at Arkansas Governor School, right? It's a bunch of 17-year-olds kind of cynical. They're just getting to know each other, incredibly smart, talented, creative people. But part of what we wanted to do is give them a sense of community and connection to each other. And so we do all kinds of things to try to do that. And we take them to these downtown events. We went to one of these events and I was walking back with a group of about 20 of these students from a downtown event back on campus. And they just started busting out with Bohemian Rhapsody.
Mhm.
And I'm like, A, how do these kids know this song? Because this thing is like, it's 35 years
Yeah.
old or something when that it was going on. And it was something that it was a song that I was young when that song came out. But they started singing it and we're having this great time. And it was, it sort of brought them together. And then I also went to a Green Day concert several years
Woo-hoo.
ago, and uh, they almost always play Bohemian Rhapsody in their playlist before they come on. And the same things happens. You get a stadium full of 70,000 people singing every word
Mhm.
to this song, like every word.
Yeah.
Everybody knows it. It doesn't no matter how old you are or how young you are. And like it's one of those like super joyful moments when
Yes.
people sort of all feel that together. So even though it's not like it's probably not my favorite song for a happiness podcast, it's my favorite song.
Yo, why not? You put that song on. It doesn't matter like who's sitting there. They will start singing sometime.
Yeah, everybody knows it. Everybody
Yeah.
will sing it. Like and
Yeah.
everybody recognizes it.
This is why you have to. It's one of my goals. Come to a concert in Boston with me. The whole town
Oh
is like
yeah, we
that.
need to do
The
that.
entire
Yeah.
town is like that. Tonight, I am seeing the Lumineers at Fenway.
Nice.
Uh, Yes, it will be amazing because all of Boston is like, if they know the words, we are all singing loudly and the sense of joy that brings to these like very serious people who will
Yeah.
also cut you off and give you like, no, but then we will sing together and all of us in
Yeah.
Fenway and the sold out will be best friends until we leave
Yeah.
and have to get in the car,
All of my music experiences in Boston are at these little punk clubs.
which are fun too. I love them.
They're amazing.
They're the best. I mean,
Yeah,
it's such a cool music town.
yeah, it really is. So
Yeah, but you need to come. It doesn't have to be big, it could be little.
I know.
You come.
I haven't. Surely something will come up in my year where I have to go to Boston. So
You have to. You have to. It's a fun town. And then we'll talk like this. Take you over to North Leominster. Take you over
that's
to
right.
AI. You know, see, go see the harbor.
That's right. Kalahaba. Like
It
it.
has been an absolute joy as always.
Always a joy, Aaron. Yeah, I've been looking forward to this. Um, you know, to help the podcast, of course, but really just to get to talk to you because
Well, you're gonna come back.
we hadn't got to sit down and talk for a while, so it's
Oh,
good
I
to
know. And when we start talking about stuff like this,
go on
yeah,
forever.
it's
Yeah.
forever. All right. Well, we will talk again because I have to, and we'll go to a concert.
All right, we'll do it.
Thank you, everybody, for listening. See you later. Bye.